This is Bruce Tango from Ghost Hunters, better known as Dave Tango's dad. You're listening to Unknown Origin Radio.
We live in a world filled with the unknown. Ghosts and spirits wander through our physical dimension. Unknown creatures lurk in the shadows, and strange lights and craft dominate our skies. Modern science refuses to acknowledge their existence, yet credible eyewitnesses are convinced these things are real, so it's up to individual researchers to search for the truth. Welcome to Unknown Origins Radio.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Unknown Origins Radio, where we talk about everything having to do with the strange and paranormal. I'm your host, Mark Johnson, and joining us for another full house this evening, we have our co-host, Lauren DePinto. How you doing, Lauren?
I'm great, Mark.
And Carrie Ann Versace. How you doing, Carrie Ann?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing good. First of all, I must say, I heard you on Dave Schrader's show the other night.
Oh, God, did I sound terrible?
No,
I was so nervous.
You sounded great.
I did?
I told you.
I felt like, when I get nervous, I start talking really fast, and it's like, it was as if I was never on the radio before, but it was Dave, and I was like, oh my God.
The pressure.
Well, you sounded really good plugging Parafest, and as usual, the guest list just seems to continue to grow, and it's really turning into a fantastic event.
Thank you. Yeah, we have some big announcements this week. Signed 4 major True Blood characters, so everyone hold on to your stockings.
Hold on to your vials of blood.
Ooh. I'll just say that, I may go a little fangirl on one of these guests because, oh, mama.
Really?
That's all I'm going to say.
Gosh. Oh, my gosh. How do you contain yourself?
I don't know. This one will be a little hard.
Uh-oh. Wait a minute. I'm not even going there.
Yeah. This is a family show.
Right in.
And, of course, there's one pleasing for the gentleman, too, so... I got one of each on that stand, so... Well, actually, there's a few. There's a couple. I can't say that one.
Oh, you're such a tease.
You have Anna Paquin coming. I'll be there. I know you can't say nothing.
Oh, no. Yeah.
No, I can say that the top 3 they're under contract that they're not even allowed to do conventions. So you are not going to see those. That's why I never offered up them I would have had my Manhattan run in there somehow. But yeah, no, those guys will, I think they're able to next year or something. So we'll see.
Well, great.
And how perfect, since we'll probably be in New Orleans. So we'll be right down there. We're right there in True Blood backyard.
That would be fantastic. Right. Well, that's next year. We still got to get through this year. So remind everybody again, what are the dates coming up for this? It's September
6th, 7th, and 8th. And that is at the Bethlehem Sands Convention. Oh my God. It's the Sands Event Center in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. It's actually a very beautiful place. And the tickets are only $25 to get in to meet everybody. If you want to participate, yeah, it is. Participate in some Q&As, meet and greets. The prices go up a little, but for an additional $25, you could sit in on all the movies. You can watch all the Q&As. Could do the celebrity panels, so it's a good day. For $50 you can have an awesome time. And how we're going to do things is like, also if you do the VIP with the meet and greets, we're going to do each show in a 45-minute meet and greet. So if you are a big Walking Dead fan, you'll get to mingle with the Walking Dead crew for 45 minutes, talk, chat, eat, drink, and then we'll bring in the True Blood crew. So it's going to be nice. It's going to be small and intimate for the VIPs. So this way you don't have to worry about, I got to find this one, I got to find that one. It'll all be timed and scheduled, and you'll know exactly who you can meet when and where.
Fantastic. So speaking of, all the television shows and The Walking Dead, did anybody catch The Walking Dead this week?
Are you kidding? It's probably the only show I actually watched live. The only one.
Now, normally I'm usually a day or two behind, but for last night just worked out great, and I was able to watch the show live when everybody else got a chance to see it.
I got to chime in. I didn't see it yet. I did
Oh,
not see it.
God.
No,
No.
I couldn't catch it last night.
Kid and I watched it twice. I watched The Walking Dead, The Talking Dead, The Walking Dead again. Are you watching that?
Yes, I watched Yes, I watched actually a little bit of that last night because I tuned in very late, so I'm unable to. But tonight is my night, bro. So
Okay, so we have to watch spoilers. So, but let's just say that it continues the trend from the first half of the season, extremely intense, and it seems like more than one main character is going bat crazy.
Okay.
Now, Mark, I asked, do you watch The Talking Dead afterwards?
You know what? I haven't, but I have. My brother's always talking to me about it and everybody, so I taped it this time, and I just haven't gotten around to watching it yet.
It's the nerd in me, but I love it because actually last night it was Stephen Yen and Kevin Smith talking to.
He's your boy.
So it was a lot of fun.
I did see the way he was sitting on the couch and like.
Oh my God!
How did you do that?
I don't know. I'm like, what is he doing?
Boy, no offense, but
like, what is he doing? But yeah, it's really good. You'll enjoy it. We'll have to talk about it after you watch that.
Yes.
Okay.
It always fills in the things, and they'll go on to like, they'll see things differently, or they'll fill in the blanks. It's actually very
tease
good.
You for next week. Tells you who was killed off, which walker, got it in the head.
Like one of the good things that I learned, it's not going to ruin anything for Lauren, is like Stephen Young was talking about how Norman Reedus is so cool that a lot of the stuff that he does is actually improvised. Like when they were running out of the camp, Mark, and he grabbed that crossbow, that was actually improvised. That was just all Norman. And he's like, when Norman and Merle first saw each other, he's like, oh, I have to, he wanted to be like that younger brother that was always submissive. So he that was how he did it. But I love Norman. And hopefully there's still a chance he may come on Saturday for Power Fest.
Really?
So hopefully we will find out tonight or tomorrow. So everyone out there, just cross fingers really hard.
Go ahead and Carrie Ann, make sure everybody say what the website is where they can go and find out more information, and of course get ready for buying tickets.
I'm the worst promoter, yes. That is www.parafest2013.com. Go out there, check it out. If you haven't heard in a while, we have a lot of people from Supernatural. It's just so exciting. I can't even tell you. Just announced Tony Todd too, which is going to be a lot of fun. And Chad Lindbergh, so cute. He's so excited to go on the hunt. And he's been tweeting about it, and he's super excited. And actually, he's worked with Mark and Debbie before, and they love him. So they're excited to work with him again too. So it'll be fun.
Excellent. Okay, well, why don't we go ahead and we'll get into tonight's show. We have a great guest tonight. Our guest is the founder of Spirit Realm Investigative Project, which is based out of Colorado. This is an all-girl team that locally specializes in the mining towns of Colorado. They have appeared on TV shows My Ghost Story, and they did an episode of The Paranormal Challenge. So please welcome LeeAnna Jonas to the program. How are you tonight, LeeAnna?
Great, guys. Don't tell me any more about The Walking Dead. I didn't get to see it yet.
Oh, good.
Oh,
okay,
we won't spoil.
I watched the Grammys. I had to, and then it was too late. So I'm like, after the show tonight, I will watch it.
Yeah, I'll be watching it with you. We'll talk behind the scenes.
Well, LeeAnna, thank you for coming on tonight. And I know Lauren asked you to come on the show after she got a chance to meet you at the Stanley Hotel event.
Yes, she did.
Oh, that was so much fun, wasn't it?
Yes, it was fun, but it was sad, too.
Oh, I know. But I know that this wasn't his swan song. I know he'll be back, Dave.
Well,
He can't handle being alone or being gone that long.
No, even Dave has mentioned on his show that, they'll probably come back at some point. They're just taking a break. So instead, they're going to be making appearances. And of course, Dave, Tim, and Mally will all be at Phenomenology in Gettysburg in March, 21st through 24th. That will be there. And then also at Parafest in September. So,
I was just going to say, he is bringing that whole entourage to Parafest and to Phenomenology. So it's just like a darkness event happening elsewhere.
Yeah, he just doesn't have to run it.
Everyone, Ollie, Susan, everyone, Aaron, everyone's coming. So it's the same. And I actually got to meet LeeAnna down at Eastern State. I was down there with Brian for that darkness event. She was the mad photo bomber in all my pictures.
Yeah, we were all having a good time that night. They actually closed the bar, so we just made our own bar in the lobby.
Yeah, until 6 a.m. It was crazy.
Closing the bar. I mean, what's up with that?
Oh, no. We had beer and pizza and everything. They delivered.
Yeah, I thought the lobby people were going to kill us because we just took over the lobby and made it a lounge.
Sounds like Phenom.
Pretty much.
So, LeeAnna, with your group, Spirit Realm Investigative group, it mentioned in your bio that you started off doing mostly the mining towns of Colorado. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, what's really interesting here, the history, a lot of the little towns, they really haven't changed. Now, the one particular town that we do has been converted into mini casinos. There's two parts of the town, a upper and a lower part. The lower part's Black Hawk, the upper part Central City. Central City's trying really hard to keep it as historically close to what it was in the 1800s. This was actually a town that was named the richest square mile on Earth back in the day. There was so much gold and so much money. And unfortunately, it's not really taking off because the other town has gone more Vegas style. They've really renovated the buildings and made it modern, where Central City is still old and they have very strict rules for the casino. So a lot of the locations are open, which is great for us because we get to go in and we don't have to worry about any kind of contamination. So one thing that we found about this is we do so many locations in the same town that we're finding some of the same spirits are coming around to contact us. It's kind of like they rotate. So the more we do it, the more we're learning about them. And it's kind of a close relationship with us and the spirits.
Now, you mentioned the towns, with the casinos and modernizing. I go to Colorado. I have family in Colorado Springs, and I go out to Cripple Creek a lot, and it's the same way there. They've taken all these great old buildings. They kind of keep them a little bit old, but, let's face it, they've got the insides, all modern casinos, and it's kind of a shame because of the history. I'm a big history buff.
Yeah, and, unfortunately that has happened, but there are still some buildings that they haven't really done much with. There's two in particular. One owner owns them and he will not give them up, but he's not maintaining them either. So it's very sad because they're starting to deteriorate. Luckily, we got in before it was unsafe in a theater, an old theater that they had. And also we go into shaft mining houses, which are basically exactly the way they were back then. So, it's kind of a mixture. We don't really like to do casinos unless it's totally shut down because of the contamination. But we did get into one that had three or four floors above it. So there wasn't anything that we could hear down below. But it's a kind of a pick and choose situation with us.
Now, with Spirit Realm, when did you first form that group?
Officially, it formed in October of 2010. Officially.
And what's different about your group from any of the other groups out there?
I think we're just basically more in tune as far as respect. I know I'm not going to say that there are teams out there that don't respect, but there's a lot of provoking going on, and we're not fond of provoking. Because of the spirits that we're dealing with, this is a town that had a lot of prostitution and a lot of death from children. So we run into a lot of kids and a lot of women. And I think because we're women, they feel comfortable with us. They don't feel threatened, especially the children. There was one little boy that we had crossed over. I have an angel reader that works with our team. We were on one of the floors, and my team members kept on getting tugged on the lower pants, and they're like, "What the heck?" Both of them, and I thought, maybe it's a child, because we heard there was a little boy that roamed around that casino. And I said, "Honey, if you need to go home and see your mommy, you need to tell me. I'll see if I can get you help." And I got an EVP that said, "I'm here." So that validated it, and I got the angel reader in there about 3 months later, and it took us about an hour and a half to get him wrangled up because he was afraid of the angel reader. And finally, she just said, "Talk to him, LeeAnna. He's comfortable with you. You said you'd be back." So I talked to him, and he finally came around, and we've got this all on tape. So I think it just kind of got around town. I truly believe that the spirits talk amongst themselves, just like the living, the dead does too, especially in this town. So it just seems like we get location after location.
One of our.
Oh, did we cut out?
I think we cut.
LeeAnna, before we go on to the next, I just want to back up to. I did watch that video, and it was so touching. It definitely. I choked up. I have to say, I was. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! I mean, it really. Oh my gosh! I mean, you crossed this little boy over, but he responded to you. You being a mom too. I think that's a big connection. But I mean, the way she described him and how he responded, and then finally went with the angel to his mother. I mean, I was just so taken by that. What's the history? What happened to that little boy in that place? Why was he left behind?
His mother died before him, apparently. It's kind of a mixed, where we don't have anything totally in writing. We can only go by the people that have been there a long time and stories passed down. But apparently his mother was a prostitute, like many of them were. And when she worked, she would put him in this kitchen area. There was a closet. It's not very big, actually. They put the kids in there, and the kids would play because there was nobody to watch them. And that's where we first contacted him, was in that exact room. So the angel reader had said that his mother had passed, and he just didn't cross. So all I know is the angel reader said the mom's so happy with me, and she'll never, she'll always try to help me out, anything I need. So, maybe that has something to do with the fact that we get such good evidence, and we contact a lot of the kids and the women there. Maybe I don't know. Someday we'll all know, I guess, how it all works. But
yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But, and also too, if you notice, Lauren, did you see any of the little light anomalies that we caught? In fact, on the stage at the very end, 2 of them came around the angel reader and almost crashed into each other.
I didn't see that. You did mention that you were seeing flashes of light to your right, but I didn't. Yeah, I'll have to go back and then double check that. But oh wow, so that's great that you actually caught something like that.
Oh yeah, and there might be another video earlier that I did when I pieced it together that just shows the actual light anomalies itself. So.
No, I'll definitely go back and check that out. Thank you for sharing that video. It really was beautiful.
LeeAnna,
yeah, and we all cried. We all cried.
LeeAnna, I was wondering if you could clarify for our listeners what exactly is an angel reader, because I'm not sure everybody would understand that concept.
Kelly has got a connection with, she's not only psychic medium, she's studied the archangels. I know a lot of people don't like Sylvia Brown, but she studied under her. And she's just really connected with Archangel Michael, who is a protector. And she does readings for people to try to help them in their path, like a life coach, but it's more on a level of spirit out. I can't even talk tonight. I'm losing my voice. Spiritually. And she just is really in tune with the angels. It's metaphysical, but it's also very heavy Christian based. And with our team, we're kind of mixed up. We've got 2 Christians and 1 Wicca. So we're kind of all over the place, but we're so open-minded with each other. We don't we don't say we're this religion or that religion. We all believe in everything, especially the metaphysical side. We believe in protection. We believe in stones. We believe in oil. And luckily, we haven't picked up too many nasty things, only on one occasion. But yeah, an angel reader is just basically a spiritual guidance person who can I guess she says she can talk to the angels. So, I mean, I got to take her word for it. I can only witness what she's given us. And a lot of times I won't tell her anything about a place, and we'll go in and she'll match up everything that we already knew. So that's how you can validate it.
Now, I know of some people who call themselves angel readers, and they usually use a form of angel-themed tarot or oracle cards. Does she use that, or is she just basically using her own psychic abilities to tune into that angelic realm?
With us, she uses herself. When she does her readings, she'll use the tarot cards.
Okay.
Because we're on the fly, we're out in the boonies, or we're in some house that nobody has been around in 100 years, and so no, she does it based upon her own connection and her own psychic abilities.
So, what got you involved in the paranormal? What made you want to become an investigator?
Well, I saw my first apparition when I was in 5th grade. Unfortunately, I messed around with the seances and Ouija boards. And so did my other 2 friends in her basement. And we used to do this all the time. One day we tried to contact a woman we saw in the news who was a babysitter who killed the baby she was watching. And we were trying to, we used the Ouija board and we did a seance and we tried to contact her. And at some point we all looked up and we saw a woman in a rocking chair with the baby in her arms and a knife in her hand.
Oh my God.
I mean, I can still see it. And we ran up them steps, and her mother's like, "Oh my God, we were screaming and crying." And it's something that you don't, that's so, I mean, honest to God, that has been embedded in my mind ever since. And the other 2 gals, I finally got a hold of one of them after 30 years, and I said, what do you remember seeing? And she goes, LeeAnna, I don't remember seeing, but I remember us screaming and crying, and something scared us. So she kind of put it away, but I didn't. So, all my life, I've questioned what's out there. I mean, I was raised by a mom who does not believe in any of this. I wasn't raised around it. It was all on my own of what I thought and what I saw. And as a child, when you experience something like that, you just don't forget. Mm-hmm. And the same with my other 2 gals. They, Tawny is of Cherokee descendancy, and she used to be able to see her grandfather at her grandmother's house, her dead grandfather. Her grandmother was kind of a medium, and she would go home and tell her parents, and they'd say, you're not going to talk about this anymore. So they kind of shunned her and shut her up for years and years. So she's blossomed again. And then Allie, who's our medium, same thing for her. She's seen a lot of apparitions as children, and she could actually talk to them, but her parents had no idea because they would not agree with it. So what's really cool about it is we come together and we can use our talents and our experiences to further, document and further grow our abilities. And I think that's the case. I think the more you investigate, the more open and the more you feel and see.
Now, since you saw that first apparition, have you had any, before you formed your paranormal group, did you experience any other types of paranormal phenomena?
Yes. I had a girlfriend, a best friend back in Michigan. That's where I grew up. Her boyfriend hung himself they were in a house. She rented the downstairs area. He rented the upstairs, and he hung himself. And as he did it, he left it on her recorder.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. He was talking to her, and she was out cold. She was sleeping. And then when she woke up here, she heard him hanging himself on the machine, and she ran up, and there he was hanging. And ever since, when her and I talk, he shows up, especially when she still lived in that home. She would see him, she would feel him, she would smell him, noises, and it was always when we were talking, never when I wasn't there. So it just seemed like we had that connection, her and I, enough energy to bring him around. So weird things like that happen to me all the time.
Oh, jeez. Well,
he's like, I don't know if I'd want that.
Well, Well, I mean, I've been these two, Carrie Ann and Lauren, are sick of hearing me say this, but I always complain about how I've been doing this for years and I've never seen anything with the naked eye. I've caught plenty of evidence, both on audio and video, but actually seeing an apparition in front of me. Although, I do have to take that back. I have mentioned that lately here in my house I've been seeing some shadows. So, and I can't deny that. I've flat out seen them. So what we're going to do is we're ready for our first break. So we're going to be right back, and we'll be talking more with LeeAnna Jonas from Spirit Realm Investigation Group. And you're listening to Unknown Origins Radio here on the Global Radio Alliance. We'll be right back. And welcome back, everyone, to Unknown Origins Radio here on KGRA-DB, the Global Radio Alliance. I'm your host, Mark Johnson, with Carrie Ann Versace and Lauren DePinto, and we're talking with our guest tonight, LeeAnna Jonas, who's the founder of Spirit Realm Investigative Project. Sorry about that. Product, yeah. We have something here for you to buy. Well, before we went to break, LeeAnna, you were beginning to talk about some of the experiences you had in seeing apparitions, and just curious, after seeing that first apparition at that age, and now all this time later, what made you decide to form Spirit Realm Investigative Project?
Well, I was an avid fan of Most Haunted, which was, if anyone can remember, was the English group of the ghost hunters that really started all this.
A guilty pleasure of mine, even though they're
yes.
and I'm a lot of guilt on there, I have to emphasize.
Me too. I'd come home on a Friday night and watch that after partying.
I'd feel so ashamed of myself after watching episodes of it.
And eat massive amounts of chocolate.
Yeah, that's where it all started. And then, everything snowballed from there with the ghost hunters and the GAC and everything. And I think it just socially said, hey, wow, you could go do this. I mean, I've always creeped around in places. And I remember when 14 years ago, I went on the Queen Mary with my sister and my son. And we were sitting there at the World War II exhibit. And my son and my sister said, oh, my God, the doorknob's shaking. And it was. And so I went to go open it, and it was locked. So I immediately started talking. Who's here? All right, what's your name? Is there a soldier here? I mean, that just was normal for me to do. And, now then I saw the shows, and I'm like, well, damn, there's equipment out there. There are so many things that you can use to justify if you catch anything. We can prove it to people. And that is one thing that drives me the most, is to be able to communicate and to actually prove it to people, because there's so many skeptics out there. I grew up with a skeptic mother. It's just my whole family thinks I'm off my rocker anyway, but whatever. It just was like, wow, you can actually go do this. And then I did my first hunt with another group here in Colorado up in Estes Park. It's called the Corn Lodge, which is pretty much haunted more than the Stanley, believe it or not. Investigation after investigation, and they made that bridge of a relationship with the spirits like we have in our city. And they started to figure things out the more that you do it, and it was fantastic. And I'm just like, I got to go for this. And they didn't want anybody in their team, new people. And then I tried out for another team, and I never heard anything back. And I just said, to hell with it. I'm going to do it on my own. And that's what I did.
That's great. And now you're an all-girl investigative group. I mean, was that on purpose, or did you plan on that, or guys not welcome? No boys allowed. We throw rocks at them.
It just ended up that way. The girls that I came in contact with, it just ended up that way. And I wanted to keep it small. It just seems to work better. You're not dealing with that many personalities. I feel the more you got going with different personalities, sometimes it makes it harder. Mm-hmm. So it just seems like it's a tight group, and we want to keep it women. Sometimes that can be a hindrance when there's arguments or disagreements, because it seems to be a little bit more vicious than with men, because men are a little bit more laid back. So that you have to contend with that sometimes. But for the most part, we want to keep it that way, and I think we're a little bit unique in a way. You know, and yeah, of course, there's 3 of us. Kind of coincides with the GAC boys, but it just seems to work for us with how we run our investigations.
You guys did a great job on Paranormal Challenge. You really have a nice blend between the 3 of you.
Well, thank you. Unfortunately,
I know. I know.
But you know, it is a lot of stuff people didn't see. I mean, there was so much footage of stuff that happened to us that they cut out because they had to gear it for the winners.
Oh, well, that's a shocker.
Right? So we kind of look like we didn't get so much. And, you know, it's really hard because you're under the gun. You got people watching you. You're out of your element. You know, we usually get more evidence where we do here in the towns, in the mining towns, than we did on that boat. But, you know, you got to figure you've got a camera crew behind you. You've got Zach on the walkie-talkie. You've got Schrader watching you. And it's just, it's very, very stressful. Very stressful.
Now, how did you go about getting on Paranormal Challenge?
You know, they had, I think it was Jeff Belanger that originally put out the call on his ghostvillage.com. And then I just applied from there, and you just have to keep on them. Because there was so many teams that had applied. You just had to keep, you know, in contact and say, we're still interested. We're still interested. With us, you know, they were picking teams that were local to the locations they were doing, so they didn't have to pay for travel. So I told them, we'll go wherever you need us to go, you know, which we did. We drove from Denver to California. And we found out on a Wednesday, and we had to be there by Monday, and all of us had to work till Friday. So Friday night, we're dead on our feet, and we're driving to California. So, and the one thing about the Travel Channel, they're pretty cheap. They only pay for one room.
All reality show production companies are cheap.
Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of them. They're cheap to make, and you could just roll them right out.
But they rake in the bucks.
They do.
Yeah, but you know what? It was an experience, and it was an honor, and it was something that, you know, I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Heartbeat. So.
It's an experience.
Yeah, it is an experience, and you know, I was hoping.
Who were your judges that night? Who were your judges that night?
Danielle. You know, I never knew her before that. She's a gal that was in Scream.
Oh, Danielle Harris.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then some doctor I've never seen before. He has glasses, kind of balding guy.
Yeah, I didn't recognize him, actually, as a matter of fact. No.
No.
Just Dave Schrader. He stood out.
Not you, Dave, you know, so I mean, no, I didn't, and we didn't get to talk to him.
Yeah.
We didn't get to talk to him. No. We didn't see him during any of it. I never met Danielle. I met Dave before at you know, events, but
sure.
No, we did not get to converse with them. Zach did take us aside beforehand, and he said, you know, and I know this is going to sound strange, that he did not want us to provoke. He said, I know, I figured he think it was strange. But, you know, he said, there's servicemen and women that were on this ship that fought for our country, and they need to be respected. And I said, Zach, we don't work that way anyway. Don't have to worry about it. But then I wonder if he said something to the other team, because they were provoking. They were kind of, you know, I don't know if it was the guy in them or the testosterone or what, but there seemed to be a difference in style. So I don't know if that was set up or not.
You know I saw your episode, but I cannot remember who the other team was, and I'm having a hard time remembering.
They were the one. They got the Morse code evidence.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. And did they pick that up on their millimeter? That's pretty weird. I mean, because it doesn't make that beeping sound like that.
It does.
That model, there's so many models.
Yeah.
That model beeps when the temperature changes.
Yeah. We've
had it do the same thing in the mining towns, just not as loud. But, if I go into that, I've already been harassed about that. So I really don't want to go into that.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Paranormal, as the world turns, right?
Yeah. I did like the way Zach pronounced your team name, SRIP.
I know. And you know what? That was all. They were making fun of us.
Oh, were they? I thought it was kind of cute, and then I didn't realize he was making fun. Oh, that's not nice.
A joke between him and Dave.
Oh.
They were saying strip.
Oh, jeez. Men.
Yeah, so, but there was so much you guys missed. I mean, they didn't even show the halftime where you get your butt reamed out and all that stuff. They cut a lot of stuff out, and it would have painted a different picture if they would have had the whole story in there. So, but like I said, I could go off and talk about it and tell you some truths and stuff, but I'm not going to go there because I've already been harassed by the other team and people over it. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut on that one. It's not worth it.
No.
It's not worth it. And we've all been through it. We've all had, hopefully you guys haven't been through it, but it's just the way it is. There's personalities that clash. And then with Facebook out nowadays, everybody likes to hurt everybody on there, and it's just
all the drama.
Yes, the drama is getting intense these days.
I hate the paradrama even more. It's just too much. It's like, really? We have energy for this?
Yeah.
So
I stay out of it.
Yeah.
Well, I can't, when people ask me questions, I try to be truthful, and I try to tell them the truth, but some people just don't want that. They see it a different way, so they think you're cutting them down or you're lying, and then it gets nasty, and police reports get filed, and it's gotten bad. It's gotten bad.
My.
Yeah. So
Oh,
let's
boy.
talk about something else.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep posting my kitty cat pictures.
I was gonna say, yeah. Did you see my two cuddling tonight?
Yeah.
I can say that the three of us have stayed out of the paranormal drama, and we'll stay there.
We get along with everyone. That's what helps.
Yeah.
We're like Switzerland.
I get along with everybody too. It's just that old teammates or other teams and it had a lot to do with the Paranormal Challenge. So, yeah, unfortunately, but that happened to a lot of teams that were on that show. For some reason, people were just like, "How could you rate? How did you?" And it's just jealousy, and they're just like, "Well, we're going to cut down your evidence, or we're going to make you look bad," and so it's like, whatever.
Yeah, see, that's why I'm really reluctant anymore, especially, we've had our experiences, we mentioned we've been on a few shows. We did a Paranormal State a few years ago, and, it's hard to have such a spotlight focused on your group because every other group and person out there is going to nitpick you and park and say, well, we do it this way. We don't do it that way. And, it's people need to remember that everyone does it differently. There's no one right way. And at this point, I'm not convinced there is a right way at all because in all the investigations we've done, so my thoughts and opinions have changed so much over the years. What I used to believe was one way, I don't even believe in it anymore. I've gone off in other directions because with as much knowledge as we gain over time, and the more we learn, the more it seems the field expands. So you can't put other teams down for what they do. Everybody has to learn. And moving forward, this is not an exact science.
Well, and everybody has their own style of investigating. And seriously, the only thing that we can go by is what we've experienced ourselves. I can look at another team or I can look at a show, and until I actually can experience that myself or use that type of equipment or technique, who am I to say anything? And I'm not about cutting down other teams. Hey, go for it. You get good evidence, however you get it, except don't provoke. That's my big pet peeve. But we're learning. We're all learning. And that's what it's all about. And there's no right or wrong, and there's no experts or anything. And we don't preach to do that at all. We just put our stuff out there, and you're either going to believe it or not, or take it for what it's worth. We debunk, and we do not fabricate anything. I would my grandmother would turn in her grave if she knew I did something like that. I'm not that kind of a person. So I'm proud of what we do, and I stand behind it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. No, I had a little blub here on my side. I apologize. Now, with the other two girls in your group, how did you meet them, and how did you decide to form with these the three of you specifically?
Well, Tawny actually was the manager at the tanning salon I tan at. And what's really strange is the property that I live on, the tanning salon's only a couple blocks away. And almost everybody in this area has paranormal stuff going on in their homes. And I'm in a new built, the place I'm in was built in 2001. The tanning salon was built in 2008. So whatever was on this land prior is still here. And the tanning salon is loaded. We just started talking, and she says, you know, I see a white figure in the back. Things are being slammed all the time. I'm hearing things. And then she started to tell me about her childhood. And I said, well, I have a team. How about we come in and investigate? Would you like to hang with us? And she's like, sure. And we just kind of clicked, and I thought, maybe this might be a possibility, because there was one girl that lived too far and she couldn't make our investigations, and she was ready to leave the group because of it. So I thought, well, maybe we'll just, check out Tawny and see if she'll work out for her place. And you wouldn't believe, we do a full investigation, and then we set up IR cameras and the DVR system in the hot spots, and we leave for an hour. Because usually we'll rile them up by communicating with them, and if they are scared, we'll leave, and most times they show up on camera, or we'll get something. Oh my God. We put recorders all through the place, and it was like a heyday in there. We left, and for 1 hour it was nothing but doors continuously slamming. And if anyone's been in a tanning salon, you've got door after door after door in a row in a hallway. It was going boom, 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 all the way down. Noise up front, noise in the back. It was incredible, incredible. There's got to be I'd say at least 7 spirits in there, because you could hear stuff all over the place.
Oh, and did you have cameras set up too? Video cameras?
Caught a good orb that came it just showed up. We did have an EM pump going, and it went through the wall. Where we heard there was a lot of activity, went through the wall into the laundry room and came back out. That's like one of our last videos on our YouTube channel, because it's so old. So we did pick that up, and the Ovulus was going to town. We got a EVP. Tawny was talking, and all of a sudden you hear die. And we're like, oh, great. So we had brought in a medium at that point, another gal that we knew, and she said that we had an element in there, whether it be a little, gremlin or munchkin or whatever it was, and it liked shiny things. And there's one bed there, number 7, that people put their rings down and their jewelry down before they tan. They'll get out of the tanning bed and it'll be gone. Oh. And then, and this happens all the time. And then it'll show up like 2 weeks later. So this little thing likes to take it and then bring it back. And everyone who's worked there, every single person I've ever talked to that's happened, why they were on the clock. So it's not like the same people. It's like brand new people that are. I'll go in there one day and say, "Hey, how's it going? How's it going? Oh, this lady just lost her wedding ring. Oh my God!" And then 2 weeks later, it shows up, and they'll tell me about it. So it's unbelievable.
Wow! And you don't know what's what this was built on?
I've lived here since '84, and this actually was prairie. And we tried to do some background. We did find that there was Indians on this land and stagecoaches that would come through here and camp on their way out through the mountains to cross the Rocky Mountains. So that's the only thing we can come up with right now, but it's pretty heavy duty. This, you got to think about how many people died back then. I mean, just from being killed by Indians or from disease or cold, when they traveled to get to California. So
yeah, that's not always logged and registered like, we do today, It's
really hard to do any kind of research. And then Al my other teammate, she took the place of one of the girls that was on the Paranormal Challenge. I met her and through a metaphysical site, and she's a medium. So she's been with us a year, and it's just worked out really well for us. We really gel well together.
Now, at this point, what's the majority of type of cases do you do? Are mostly these older buildings, historical buildings, or do you private residences as well?
We've only done one private residence, and the reason being is I firmly believe that, I'll talk to people first and find out their situation, find out if I think it could be negative or demonic or what have you, if they're being hurt. Most people are not having any issues, so I will guide them to whether, do you really want to have an investigation? If you know something's there and you're not having a problem with it, why open up a can of worms? The way I look at it is, unless they're really hurting, and I have the resources to have someone to help them, I don't like to go into a place, open up a door with communication, especially something demonic, find out it's demonic, and not have anybody to help these people. There's a lot of teams that'll go in there that just want to get the evidence, but there's nothing to help the actual homeowner afterwards. They have to live there. So until I can actually find somebody that I trust that can do the job, whether it be a minister, a priest, a Wicca, pagan, whoever, I don't really like to go into homes unless I know I could help the people after the aftermath of the investigation. So until that happens, we kind of stick with the historical towns. We did do a murder house up in Russell Gulch, Colorado. A man had a mistress down in Denver, and he was going bankrupt, and his wife and child live up in the mountains by themselves. He came home one day to tell his wife that he lost everything and, they were going bankrupt, as he pulled out a gun and shot her in the head. Ooh. So we laid her in bed, brought in the little son, took him over to the window and said, Mommy's sleeping, be quiet. And said, look at the birdie outside. Boom, shot him in the head. Laid them both down next to each other and let them rot in that bed for 47 days until he got caught.
Oh my God.
So, that's what we do. I know a lot of people want to help homeowners, which I'm all for. I did have a friend that we did help. I'll have to tell you about that. But for the most part, we're so intrigued by this history and how many bad things happened then. We're dealing with a town that has greed. It was fueled by money, and you know how that goes. Mm-hmm. And the prostitution and the killings and the murders, and it was the Wild West, so everybody could shoot everybody, and get away with it. And, it's just, it intrigues us. So that keeps us pretty busy. I'm not saying that we're not going to go into residential. I'm sure we will. My one girlfriend called me up and said, my two daughters are just scared. You got to come help us. So we went in there, and you guys will have to check this out. Oh my God, it's excellent. It's a light anomaly upstairs. We left for an hour, sat outside. Nobody was in the home after we did the investigation. And this light anomaly is going into the wall and coming out of the wall and zipping all over the place. It was fantastic. So we cleansed the home. We did a good job. It was okay for a while, but things are starting to happen again. And here again, these two girls were messing with Ouija boards.
Mm. Oh, so, see there. Oh.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's time for us to take our last break. So everyone, don't go away. We're talking with LeeAnna Jonas from Spirit Realm Investigative Project, and you're listening to Unknown Origins Radio here on the Global Radio Alliance. We'll be right back. And we're back with Unknown Origins Radio here on the Global Radio Alliance. I'm your host, Mark Johnson, along with Carrie-Ann Versace and Lauren DePinto, and we're talking with LeeAnna Jonas from Spirit Realm Investigative Project. And LeeAnna, we actually had a great question come in from Frank in the chat room, and he was asking if you had ever heard of the ghost miner of Idaho Springs. He supposedly fell in the Clear Creek and was swept away with gold in his pockets.
No, I haven't heard that one, and I've heard of a lot. Unfortunately, that town, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately. Fortunately, that town's chock full too. That's next on our list. But no, I have not heard that one. That's interesting. Yeah. Sorry about that, Frank. Wish I knew more about it. But there's so many miners that died there. It's incredible. And there's a lot of cemeteries up there too, full of them.
So you are very familiar with the area that he is talking about?
Yes, it's right. Idaho Springs is right outside, probably about 8 miles from where we're at Central City, where we go. So if you stay on I-70, instead of getting off to go to Central City, you'll go right through Idaho Springs on I-70. And that's where Mount Evans is, which is the highest paved road in the United States, too.
Fantastic. Now, Lauren, you had some questions regarding EVPs?
Yeah, we had talked about this before, and you had sent me some EVPs that you had captured in your past, and they're amazing. Would it be okay if we played them?
For sure. Go ahead.
Good. Mark,
Okay.
which one do you want to do first? Melanie?
Why don't we set this up? There's one called What You Get Melanie. Why don't you tell our listeners what this one is about?
This was captured while we were actually in a different part of the building. This is the building where I originally met my angel reader who worked upstairs. It's a craft store right now, and there's 4 levels. We were down in the basement and left a recorder upstairs on the first floor where we heard there's children that like to play. And sure enough, we caught a child's voice, and we believe it says, "What you got, Melanie?" or "Would you get, Melanie?"
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play that right now. Well, that was pretty clear. Let me go ahead and play that one more time.
Oh, it's definitely a child.
Yes. And what's really odd about it is the angel reader had told us that she had already crossed over 2 little kids probably about 6 months prior, that she actually saw them, and they saw her, and they were amazed that somebody could see them. And but she said that she listened to this EVP, and she said the kids that she crossed over were older than what this little child sounds like. So that just goes to show you they're still around there. They're still there.
Oh,
wow.
That's so sad. There's just something about a spirit child that it gets me right at the core of my heart. It really does.
It is sad, and if we can help them, we're going to go for it,
I commend you on that, definitely.
At the same time, you have to be careful because so many times in a negative haunting situation, they mask themselves, pretend to be children to hook people in before the real nastiness comes out. So
that's true. The only thing that I can say about this situation, if I would question that if I was actually getting a response while I was there, a response to asking a question, and if I got a child's voice in this particular area, but nobody was there. We were downstairs, and it was just sitting there by itself. So it wasn't like they were trying to mimic or talk to us, because we weren't even in that location. So that's the only thing I can say, that I'm hoping that it was I don't hope it was a kid, because I don't want them to be stuck there, but I don't want it to be a demon either. So
demon child. Now, we have a couple other EVPs here. There's one called I Can See. What's this one about?
This one was actually, it's probably going to be on my ghost story. It was at the Gilpin County Courthouse and Jail on the 2nd floor, and we were just started in that room. We heard there was a lot of movement with furniture and such from other employees, and we just wanted to see if any spirits were there at that time, and that was our opening question.
Okay, let's play this.
So first off, are there any spirits that are here with us tonight?
Okay. I heard what sounded like a female voice.
Yes.
Saying I can see. Let's go ahead and play that one more time.
Okay.
So first off, are there any spirits that are here with us tonight?
There sounds like there's a little something right after that, too. A little whisper.
Yeah.
I can't make it out.
Oh, I did.
Okay.
She's saying, I can see only one.
Oh, really?
And she sounds exasperated when she's talking. Almost like, like that second thing that you hear is like the second part of her sentence,
Yeah, it might have taken a lot of energy for her to get that out. And I had to amplify it because it was so soft of a whisper. But yeah, I when I asked how, are there any spirits with us? And she says, I can see only one.
Let's play that again. I want to hear that only one.
Okay.
So first off, are there any spirits that are here with us tonight?
Okay.
Did you hear
I
it
could
this
see
time?
only one.
Yep.
Okay.
Wow. Now, Louis, let me ask you. This was the investigation where a spirit actually followed one of your. Was it Tawny home?
Yep.
Oh boy, yeah. It got pretty intense, right? After the cleansing, you did a cleansing there.
No, actually, this is at the Gilpin County Jail, and the guy that showed us around, his name is Josie Wales, believe it or not. And,
My favorite movie of all time.
he's a drummer too, to boot.
He looked like a drummer.
Yeah, he was a musician, and he works there, and he's worked there 17 years, and he has such a tight relationship with the spirit of the jail, which we were already told and warned by many people, especially our angel reader, that this guy was nasty. Because our angel reader actually, and if you go on our website, actually our Facebook page, I do have a sneak peek of that video, actual footage of the interview with Josie and the angel reader about it. And she said, don't go in there. But of course we wanted to, and it jumped off a top bunk of a cell at Tawny, and you could see her reaction. It scared the living hell out of her, and I've never seen her do this ever. She's like a rock, but it shook her up, and yeah, it started to kind of mess with her personality. Her boyfriend had called us and told us, and then she had a Chinese screen in her apartment that up and flew across the room.
Ooh.
So we went over there and had to cleanse her and cleanse the place, and it's still with her. It's not as bad, but she knows it's still around. She's moved and it's followed her. And then this same entity has basically almost taken over the man that works there.
Josie.
His family has talked about it, his mood swings, his anger, and he knows it too. And there's not much we can do about it because we can cleanse him, but he's still in that environment. It'll just reattach to him until he's supposed to retire in 4 years. God, I hope he makes it. And then after that, I told him we'll talk, because I talked to many people that cleanse, and they said, if he's going back in there and he's allowing to make conversation and a relationship, he's letting it in.
Yeah.
So what good is it going to do?
Exactly. It's like sometimes when we deal with clients, I've had worked with some psychics who've done cleansings, and they tell the client, okay, it's gone. Don't keep calling it back. Don't keep asking questions. Are you there? And whatnot, because it just reopens that doorway and it comes right back in.
Yeah, so I mean, why even bother putting him through it? This, really making the spirit even matter. And I just told him, you got to stand up to it. You got to quit going in the cell and talking to it. You need to stop. You're the only one that can stand up to it. But it's to the point now where it's taking him over, and he's too weak anymore. And it's sad. It's really sad. And because his wife will call me and say, I'm getting scared, and now it's starting to mimic him. So like she'll be at home and she'll hear Josie talk, and Josie's at work. So it's there with her. So it's getting bad. It's really getting bad. And we vowed never to go back in there, and then my ghost story says, "Oh, we want that story." We're like, "Oh, no."
Of course.
It's like,
But there's nothing that could be done for this man, though. I mean, is it really a situation where it's nothing we can do?
Yeah, because I talked to another psychic cleanser, really strong psychic guy that I know, and he said until he's out of that environment to where it can attach to him, there's just, it's like you'll cleanse them, and then he'll go right back in there, and it'll just take him over again. I mean, it's just a losing battle.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So it's kind of sad. It's really sad, actually. I feel bad for him because a lot of bad things have happened to him in his life since. So it's like this thing is just, and what we've kind of found out running into, there's a couple other nasty ones in that town, and they're 3 men. And from what we can find out is they meet in this one building. I had someone go in there and cleanse it, our angel reader, and she says they're here, all 3 of them. I feel that they're the top dogs in that town, the spirits, and they're trying to control the rest of the spirits. This is so crazy, you guys, because it's so unique that we get to, investigate. Not only are we just investigating the spirits just to communicate, we're trying to put together a puzzle in a story at the same time. So it's just, we're like obsessed with, we got to keep on going back up there and see if we can get more and more. And there's a couple of spirits that follow us to other locations all the time. They show up on the Ovilus all the time, their names.
Well, see, I know that's what fascinates me with paranormal research, is trying to solve that puzzle. It's not just going in and go, ooh, I got an EVP, or ooh, I got a line anomaly. It's, I want to know, who is there? Why are they there? What can we do to get them to move on? Or, the family is terrified and they're looking for answers. We want to be able to provide those answers. And it takes more than one investigation in most cases. So, yeah, I know that's the reason why, as an investigator, I'm fascinated with it. Now, we have another EVP here that you had talked about earlier. There's one called Where's the Stairs? What's that one about?
All right. So when we were doing our interview with Josie before the investigation, we were on the 2nd floor and we heard a door slam. And then I said, well, we were not doing the investigation. Let's continue with what we're doing, because I had to keep him on track. And so when we came back out around the hallway, I said, this is where I heard the sound. And then Tawny says, no, that was downstairs. And then Josie talks, and then you hear a whisper, EVP, where's the stairs?
Okay, let me play that.
Did you girls hear a door shut?
I heard something downstairs.
Oh, it was downstairs?
And this is administrative offices.
Okay, I heard that. It was the whisper, like, where's the stairs?
Exactly. So when you think about it, here was his spirit listening to our conversation about the stairs, but he doesn't know where the stairs are at. He's like, where's the stairs? So it makes you wonder, what dimension and what can he see? Can he just hear us? Because obviously, or maybe he could see us, but maybe he couldn't see the stairs. Maybe there were no stairs there before, when he was alive. This was built.
Yeah, people do that to their houses all the time. They'll rearrange stairs and rooms and whatnot, and they see it as it was, I would think, right?
Well, not only that, this building was built, there used to be a house before it, and they mowed it down, and the gentleman who owned half the town, that was where his house was at, he sold that property, and then they built the courthouse in the 1800s. So who's to say that this wasn't the gentleman, Mr. Teller, that used to live in that house, and it was a one-story, and it didn't have stairs? So many questions.
Well, let me go ahead and play that one more time to give everybody a chance to listen to it.
Okay. Did you girls hear a door shut?
I heard something downstairs.
Oh, it was downstairs?
And this is administrative offices.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Isn't it funny how the best EVPs come through when you're having a full-blown, loud conversation, and then you just hear it just underneath, so subtle, And
it's really what happens to us a lot is when we're putting equipment together. For some reason, they're like, what the heck's that? And that's we get a lot of EVPs by us just setting up equipment. And then, you guys don't know about this, but we have a mascot, a team mascot. Her name's Dory. She's a biker gnome.
Oh, wait, I saw the picture. Yes, I have seen her.
And,
pretty sexy.
we take her around, and you wouldn't believe when they see her, they say things. This one place, we took her out of the bag and set her down, and one spirit went, look. What the hell is that?
That's funny. Some people bring toys, for the little kids. You bring like this like sexy biker gnome. Chick. That's so cute.
I think, Laura, we should start bringing that thing that we brought to Fort Mifflin that you left on my car.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, my God.
He's so cute. My mom loves him.
I don't even know what it makes like a funny sound with his mouth. It's so hard to describe.
But you didn't even know that after you pinch his hand, if you do it, he talks. He actually says
No,
words.
I didn't. That's so creepy.
No, I'm
let's
bring him.
This
This is phenomenology.
Yeah.
I just wish he didn't have paint on him. Poor thing.
Oh.
Now we got to remember to bring the shark, though.
Oh, sharks stay fast.
Absolutely. He's a given. He's got to be there.
Yeah.
So this location with Josie, it sounds like a very intense location. When you're telling me about how he keeps going back there, he reminds me we've had some other clients that we've dealt with on a long-standing case. It's the same thing where they say they want to get rid of it, and yet whenever we've tried to help, there's always seems to be something that comes in and throws a monkey wrench in the works and sabotages it. It's like they're almost reluctant to it. They feed off of it in a lot of cases.
Or the spirit that's attached to them is making that happen too. The only thing I can say about Josie is that he works there, so he really has no choice in the matter. I mean, he's still there. He works downstairs where this thing's at. That's where his office is at. So it's like, yeah, he can stop talking to it, but it's already made. I mean, he's been around it for 17 years. I mean, it's a part of him. It knows his whole life history. So until he stops working there, I don't see anything changing anytime soon. If anything, it's going to get worse. I just try to keep tabs on him, and I mean, if it gets really bad, we'll try to cleanse him. I'll get somebody to cleanse him, but I'm just afraid that he's too far gone.
Boy, I'm really reminded of the guy from Bobby Mackey's place.
Yeah,
the caretaker there. That's another sad story, but it's so reminiscent.
Well, yeah, and that guy, I mean, the spirit was even talking through him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
he was possessed, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now with Josie, his eyes change. That's how you know.
Oh.
They change how?
They dilate.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, you can always tell when you're talking to it, because his eyes change. And it's really weird because, I mean, I've asked people that know him, and I'll say, so how do you know when Josie changes? And they're like, his eyes change. Every single person has told me that. Jeez. And then his work wanted to do a UA on him because they thought he was doing drugs.
Oh.
And it's like, I had to call his boss and say it's not. He doesn't do drugs, and I'm like, that's not it. He's possessed.
Oh, that makes it so much better.
Well, just to throw in for people who may be skeptical, has he ever had a psychiatric evaluation just to rule out any type of mental illness, or even pharmacological tampering?
Or what you say?
Well, I know that they do randoms on the employees there because he is a county employee. I don't know about the other half about him, getting checked out mentally at all. I can't talk on that behalf for him, but yeah, he's you've got to understand that the people that live there are so used to spirits, it's not a big deal to them. In fact, one of the women that I know that works there, she came right out and called me and said, "Don't you dare cross any of our spirits over." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "We're fine with them. Leave them. Don't do it. Leave them alone." There's a woman there that has one that comes home with her, a woman who hung herself in the women's side of the jail. And it's like the town is so full of it. I don't mean full of it, but full of spirits. And the people that live there are okay with it, and they see activity happen on all the time, that they're comfortable with it. You're really not going to find a skeptic in that town because almost everybody has experienced it. I mean, they've got cameras in some of the casinos, surveillance cameras, and this old time slot machines in the older casinos, arms will come down by themselves. The spirits will be playing the slots, and they've got this on footage. Okay, so
You don't give that up. Death is not going to get in the way.
so it's a whole different situation there than what you could normally run into, you know. And I found this out in another town called Morrison that's by Red Rocks Amphitheater, which is right 5 minutes from my house. And that used to be a stopping ground for the train that went from Denver to Morrison, and then it went up to Central City. So a lot of the people would spend the night in one of the towns, because back then it took a long time for a train, especially in the mountains. And you just had the same people going up and down. So it's like the spirits drift back and forth. It's just a whole different situation. I'm sure there's other teams out there that run into something like this in their towns, where they have the same kind of, you know, neighborhood of spirits that kind of hang out together. But we're just lucky. We're just lucky, and we thrive off of it, and we're continuously trying to get more information from them. Wow. To tell us their story. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, LeeAnna, we actually are coming up on the end of the show here. The time has really flown by tonight. I was wondering if you could tell people how they can find your group or find more information about you.
Sure. You can plug into Google Spirit Realm Investigative Project. You can plug in the USS Hornet. Will come up on Google. We have a Facebook page with that team name on it. We also have a YouTube channel. If you put in the search bar SRIP 3, SRIP 3, you can pull up our evidence and our videos. Since Facebook only allows 20 minutes and you can't have any music because they think you're copywriting somebody, it's easier just to put everything on YouTube. And, you know, watch for us on My Ghost Story. They're saying we're episode 60. I don't know how true that is, but they're saying we're coming up sometime in the spring. If you follow us on Facebook, please like us, and I update, and the girls update constantly. And we'll put down any, you know, air dates, times, what have you, on the My Ghost Story. So I really appreciate you guys letting me come on tonight and check us out. And we're just three girls. That's it.
Well, thank you very much for coming on, LeeAnna. We had a great time talking to you tonight.
Same here. And it was good to talk to the girls again, and maybe we'll run into each other at another event.
I hope you come out to Parafest. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. You have to try for it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening to another edition here of Unknown Origins Radio. Tune in every Monday night here at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Global Radio Alliance. And stay tuned coming up at 11 p.m. tonight Eastern Standard Time for another new edition of More Questions Than Answers. And we sign off tonight with our motivational quote, "Eat right, exercise regularly, die anyway." Have a great night, everybody.